When I entered the monastery, I could not get over the fact that I would be talking one-on-one with this person whose books I had been reading for the last 4 years, and in whom I recognized this great depth of holiness. It was something like going in to see Moses, or someone of great spiritual stature, and I was so taken by all of this that I could barely say anything to him. And I would stammer out a few questions about this book or that book. Then I'd sit there a little longer. He'd respond, I'd stammer out something else. And he was very gracious about it. And about the third or fourth time I went in to see him, and this was still going on, all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, he slammed his hand on the desk and said, "What in the hell are you doing? You're driving me crazy." And so I said with my voice shaking, "It's because you're Thomas Merton." He said, "Each day after afternoon work, I want you to come in here and talk with me." At the time, I worked in the pig barn, and I would go in and sit down, and he would be very serious and sincere about all of this. And I would tell him about the day in the pig barn, and he would remember all these details. And if I was telling him about sow number 4, he'd ask about sow number 12, and if her foot was okay, and all the rest of it. In fact, out of all the profound things that I learned in his teaching, I experienced in this sensitivity and empathy and gentleness what gave validity to all those teachings. It is this tangible quality about him that I hope to convey throughout these sessions, this sense of the profound truths of God incarnate in all the little ways that we learn to be genuinely loving towards ourselves and towards one another. And it is on this note, then, that I would like to explore with you a Merton-inspired way of understanding what it means to live a contemplative way of life. And it is with this intention, then, that I would like to read the following passage by Thomas Merton. By the way, you'll notice in the reading of this passage, and really in the reading of all the passages in Merton, that he exclusively uses the masculine personal pronoun in referring to God. Simply put, Merton was writing before they knew better. Surely, if Merton were writing today, he would reflect his sensitivity to this issue, and I'll be expressing my sensitivity to it in moving back and forth in references to God as he or she. Of course, in our own tradition, God is understood as being both infinitely beyond the finite reference points of the masculine or the feminine, while at the same time being the infinite ground of the masculine, the infinite ground of the feminine. The word God is the metaphor for the infinity of the mystery the present moment manifests. And inversely, at one and the same time, the concrete immediacy of the present moment is realized to be the manifestation of the unmanifested mystery of God. It is this non-dual, unitive mystery of oneness with the divine, with the concrete immediacy of the present moment, that constitutes the heart of the contemplative way's fulfillment in realizing this unity throughout all one's life. And so with this in mind, then, I'll read this first passage. The passage is the conclusion to Merton's book, New Seeds of Contemplation, in which Merton writes, "What is serious to men is often very trivial in the sight of God. What in God might appear to us as play is perhaps what he himself takes most seriously. At any rate, the Lord plays and diverts himself in the garden of his creation. And if we could let go of our own obsession with what we think is the meaning of it all, we might be able to hear his call and follow him in his mysterious cosmic dance. We do not have to go very far to catch echoes of that game and of that dancing. When we are alone on a starlit night, when by chance we see the migrating birds in autumn descending on a grove of junipers to rest and eat, when we see children in a moment they are really children, when we know love in our own hearts, or when, like the Japanese poet Basho, we hear an old frog land in a quiet pond with a solitary splash. At such times, the awakening, the turning inside out of all values, the newness, the emptiness, and the purity of vision that make themselves evident provide a glimpse of the cosmic dance. For the world and time are the dance of the Lord in emptiness. The silence of the spheres is the music of a wedding feast. The more we persist in misunderstanding the phenomena of life, the more we analyze them out into strange finalities and complex purposes of our own, the more we involve ourselves in sadness, absurdity, and despair. But it does not matter very much, because no despair of ours can alter the reality of things or stain the joy of the cosmic dance which is always there. Indeed, we are in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of us, for it beats in our very blood, whether we want it to or not. Yet the fact remains that we are invited to forget ourselves on purpose, cast our awful solemnity to the winds, and join in the general dance. The passage invites us to see how life is such that from time to time an extraordinary thing happens. We're going along ruminating over this and that, when in something as simple as turning to see a flock of birds descending, or in something as simple as watching children at play, or as something as intimate as knowing love in our own hearts, we're interiorly quickened, we're interiorly awakened to a deep visceral realization that this is holy, that this is real, that this is precious, that this is the way that every moment deep down really is. These are moments that disclose to us the inherent holiness of life itself, the already perfectly holy nature of the present moment just the way it is.